Conversation in Music. My name is Louis Tan, and today we have a special guest, Reagan. He has won several music awards in the Canadian Music Festival and competitions. But most interestingly, he is also an examiner for the Royal Conservatory of Exams. Today, we hope to pick his brain and ask him about what an examiner may look for. Hello, Reagan. Welcome to Conversation in Music. To begin, please elaborate on the key factors you consider when evaluating performance in a piano exam.
Well, I think it's important first to establish a performer's attitude towards their performance. In other words, even before they play, we should be able to decipher whether or not they value their performance. Especially in younger children, aspects like showing up on time, dressing up appropriately, and also bowing after their performance will usually tell the adjudicator how much they care about their performance.
So finding the balance between technical skills and expression is sometimes challenging. Could you share instances where this balance was pivotal in your judgment?
Well, actually, I would disagree with the question, just because I think it's usually not difficult to balance technique and artistic expression because they go hand in hand. Typically, when a contestant performs, it is possible to finish a performance with good technique, but no artistic expression, but not the other way around. If a performer finds it difficult to comfortably control their notes and rhythms, naturally they would prioritize finishing the piece rather than to consider artistic expression. Even before I evaluate a performance, I would first need to be convinced that the performer can comfortably play their piece, and if that proves to be unconvincing, then they would usually not receive any credit for attempting artistic expression. An example of this would have been during an exam where I had a student that chose a tempo that was too fast for their own comfort level. They were not in a position to realistically show any artistic expression whatsoever, or stylistic features for that matter.
How much weight do you assign to a contestant's interpretation or personal style?
Well, I think interpretation refers to a performer's understanding of the work they play, while personal style should be described as the approach a performer will take to show that they are able to execute. For example, when playing more expressive works that ideally should be played at faster tempos, the performer will have to decide whether to prioritize speed or expression. For me, while I do have my own interpretation on how certain works should be played, I usually do not like to evaluate a student based off of how close their performance is to my interpretation. I would instead take the show me your interpretation and how convincing is your execution type of approach.
Piano performances can be unpredictable. How do you assess a contestant's ability to handle unexpected situations during a performance?
That would depend on the age of the performer and, more importantly, the length of time they have been involved in piano. Generally speaking, the younger a student is, the more I would give credit for good fundamentals that can clearly be shown to have been executed well. As long as it's been clear to me that their practicing has been consistent over time and they do not display aspects like trying to look for notes on the piano or not playing steadily with the metronome. In terms of older and more advanced performers, I like to begin with the assumption that they do have some experience in prior performances. I would put some weight on how they are able to handle unpredictable outcomes. But again, it would still be more important for me that they display good technique followed by good understanding of their pieces.
How do you ensure that your feedback is helpful to the contestant's growth and regardless of the outcome?
Piano performance is every bit as challenging and unforgiving, especially during competition, which means constructive criticism must first provide insight on precisely where performers need to improve and, more importantly, how to do it. I will almost always stress the need for hard, consistent work over long periods of time. In order to obtain a performance that most people will respect, the performer must be prepared to go to lengths that most people are not willing to explore. This includes practicing every day and being very specific to all aspects of their pieces. If that can be achieved over long periods of time, then there really isn't anything that can hinder the long-term success of any student.
Thank you, Reagan, for your wonderful advice. I hope the teachers and students take note. To add more teaching tools to your repertoire, please visit Teachpiano.Academy.